Hey guys, in this video we're just going to take a quick look at some PCG procedural content generation node graph inside Unreal. And this is a really quick demo about one particular workflow that you might need to do while using PCG. I'm talking about scattering points on a model and then filtering those and generating sort of a connection spline between two specific points on two models. And you could use this for, let's say, a rope bridge, which is what we're going to do, or maybe you're hanging vines over sort of a temple entranceway, or cabling in if you were building a city block and you wanted some like telephone poles and things like that. So there's a number of reasons why you might want to use a workflow like this. And in order to make it procedural, you'll have to sort of take your base model, you'll sample the points, and then um, you'll you'll find another point somewhere in your scene, probably sampling like another telephone pole or the other end of the bridge in this case, and then we'll spawn a spline in between those, and then assign a mesh to the points along that spline. So I've built a blueprint here that contains a PCG component. Um, I've been wrapping my PCG components inside blueprints. I think that offers a lot of functionality. If there's a performance hit that people are noticing, I'd love to hear about some, other ideas about why this might be a better idea just to bring your PCG node graph directly into the level. That's how I see a lot of people doing PCG work online, but I just really like the functionality of the blueprint wrapper. So that's what I've been sticking with so far. But let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts on this. Um, but there's some basic functionality. Just you can, different settings you can adjust or whatever. But the real thing I want to talk about is sampling our mesh and then filtering the points on that mesh and creating splines between those points and other points in your PCG graph. So it's all good if we're creating procedural content, but we need ways to integrate these spawned assets together, or else it just looks like you're kind of spawning a bunch of assets and sampling them, which, kind of, it has a very simplistic look to it. So this is a way that we can add sort of a layer of um, refinement to our procedural graphs. And you'll notice here, no matter which way I sort of rotate this posts, the spline will stay connected between these sort of two key points. And that's really kind of what we're going for here. So we just grab this post here and we adjust its rotation, you'll see, sort of that hand rope is staying locked on to the correct position on the post. So if you look here at this base of this post, you can see we're filtering out our mesh sample. And you can see that's the one remaining point on that post over there. And that's the root of the mesh that we're responding to post mesh. Okay, and then over here, so this is the root of this post. And we filter everything out. Um, and then we come over here and we have a distance node up here, and we're taking the closest point of our remaining filtered points to this root position, which is the end of one of the splines. And that is always a constant. So this here is our spawned mesh as part of our blueprint. We can also sample the mesh. So this is our mesh sampler. Here, there's a couple of different options. You can do 1 point per triangle, 1 point per vertex. Really depends on what asset you're kind of doing and how the geometry is constructed, and where you need your connection point to be. A lot of the time, I would feel like I would probably end up at 1 point per vertex. Just seems like it's got a little bit more control than the center point in a triangle. Um, so we can sample our mesh, and there's the points are here, but there's no visualization. There is visualization over here. You can see that we're sampling it. It's just loading the asset and sampling it at world space here. 0. So these are all the points on it. Um, we can filter those points. And if we turn off the sample, you'll see, okay. And how are we filtering this? Well, position is got to be greater than or equal to position. And then world, um, this is the world location. So you'll notice like some of these numbers, like this number is pretty high. If we're less than that, the points are going to get filtered out. So we need to make this filter very large because it's operating in world space. And so you'll notice our bridge is placed sort of all the way over here. So our area needs to incorporate sort of all of this. And that number can get, massive. But that's what we need to do. So we've got our filter. We know that we just want the points in the top sort of percent of the Z value. So we can filter out all the other points. And then we need to copy those points. We need to copy those points to the correct location in world space, which is our actual static mesh that we've spawned in. So if we come over here, you'll see now they've been copied from sort of our mesh sample to our spawned mesh. And now they're actually being applied in the correct location in world space. So that's good. And this is kind of this is how you would do this for a lot of different assets. Most of the time, I think you can add a lot of creativity and a lot of complexity to your procedural content if you're sampling your meshes and then driving further procedural content based on the points. So once we've copied our points to the correct location, okay, we can take a distance, and we can do another filter, and what we'll end up with here is just this one particular point that we've chosen. So you'll see here. Oops, this is over here. Okay. So this is where we're going to get to, and the way we do that is, so we have our distance node, and this is our original point down here on the spline. This is the original spline point, and there's a million nodes you could use in this particular, however you want to decide which point is going to be your connection. That's fine, but I'm using distance, and all I'm saying is that the target is our original point, and then out of our copied points, out of these points, our source, the content that we're gonna operate on, our target is going to be what's the closest distance to this point. And if we come over here and look, you'll see, look at that, it's right down at the bottom of this list, or it's right down at the bottom here, and it's all the way. Okay, and yeah, so it's always going to be sort of this closest point. Um, okay, so so now that we know that, um, there's no real, there's nothing to debug on that. Um, and so then out of that distance, what I'm saying is take this node here is, we're filtering by two attributes. And the operation that we're going to do is min. So we're going to take our distance and our index. So the closest distance and the minimum index, and the minimum index in x value. And we're going to filter that again. And so, if you look over here, all of these, oh, so you have all of these. You have this point here, and then we're gonna just grab again. I mean, you could come off of this, but I want to eliminate all the other points out of this data stream. Um, so we're just gonna do this, filter it one more time, and then from that, so this is really kind of the heart of how to sample a mesh and select a specific point on it, no matter where you are in world space. Um, and then, that's the same thing we're doing over here. So we're choosing these 2 points on these two meshes. And you can see, it doesn't matter the angle you're on. So, you could have your telephone poles could be all bent and falling over and adding a lot of character and detail to your scene. But it doesn't really matter how you rotate these things. They're always going to be sort of connected. Um, so pretty cool. And so once you have your sort of your 2 points, the rest of it's really simple. You could pipe that directly into a create spline, um, and you will have your sort of um, you'll have your spline connecting those two. So there's the debug shapes along that spline. Um, I've jumped through a Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so actually, sorry, one more thing here. So once you get your point on this post, and you get your point on this post, which is right here, um, you need to merge those two pieces of point data into one data set. Okay. And so you just need to merge those in. Um, so they're a singular data set. There's a transform here. I'm using this just to, you can see I'm resetting the up vector or the rotation. The spline can, depending on the rotation of these posts, these points are going to be rotated. So I'm just using this to absolute like zero out any rotation. Um, so you do that, and then you're going to create your actual spline. So once you have that, now you're back to being able to, you can sample that, which I'm doing in this custom node. And then I'm also sort of I'm adding in this hand rope droop value, to sort of, which is just adding in some values, with some simple transforms, some sampling, filtering out that middle point, and then transforming it. Um, yeah, and so that's really how you can create sort of, whether it's telephone poles or whatever. In this case, rope bridge. But if you want 2 points to sort of stay connected regardless of, you know, what where your assets are kind of spawning in or what they're looking like, this is a pretty quick technique. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments or, any ideas, let me know in the comments. Thanks a lot.